Hey, sis.
Hey, sis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just a little exhausted from this week. I'm glad we're almost to the end of the week again.
I mean, well, yeah, it's the end of the week for us, but the beginning of the week by the time this is posted. But
True, which is true. Yes.
yes, but hey, it is what it is. Just know it has been a day. It's been a couple of days. So
Oh, well, I know for
exhaustion.
you. I know
Oh,
for you.
girl.
Girl,
All right. But
yes.
that's a whole topic for a whole other
A,
show.
a whole nother day, y'all. But
Mhm.
as for today's topic, so start with this whole, Kevin Hart Netflix
Oh,
roast.
yeah.
I know a lot of people have been buzzing about this. So, and one particular thing that sparked, I know this was like really
Mhm.
controversial, was the reference to George
Oh,
Floyd.
yeah.
And I know some people said it did cross the line, while others did argue that the comedy does have no boundaries. And so, sis,
Hmm.
what was your first reaction when you first heard the joke?
Okay, so well, for starters, like, I did watch the whole roast.
Mhm.
That's like a first for me because usually I'm so used to watching clips. I will watch clips at the end, child. But I watched the whole
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Um, and I will say overall, the roast was actually
Mhm.
quite interesting. I never really saw the roast before. Like I've always heard about it, but never really saw it. But I do
Yeah.
like Kevin Hart, so that's
Mhm.
probably one of the reasons why I watched it. But yeah, but when it got to the joke, honestly, it went so fast. Like that comedian,
Oof.
he was fast. Like for the majority of that part, his bit was pretty funny. Like, and he was
Yeah.
quick with the
Yeah.
punchlines. Like it was so much. And
Yeah.
so like literally up until that point, it was like giggle, giggle, giggle. And then I was just like, oh,
I
and I
know.
was just like
Caught you off guard.
and I was still laughing from, like, the previous thing, and so then I'm just like, "Oh gosh,
Yeah.
okay." And so, like, because honestly, when it first happened, I had to watch it, like, a couple times because when I first heard it, like,
Mhm.
I missed it. Like, I heard the name and because I heard more
Mhm.
of the backlash from it, so I thought it was gonna be something
Mhm.
longer, and I thought it was gonna be something, like, more like, I thought he was going in and just, like, draining it, you know? And so that's what I was waiting for,
Mhm.
and I didn't know which comedian said it. So when it came, that's why it surprised
Oh.
me, like, caught me off guard. And so when I went back and I watched it again, that's when I actually heard, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like, honestly, like, the joke itself was naturally gonna sting no matter how it was said, no matter who said it. But with him saying
Yeah.
it at the end, I think that's what gave it, like, that viral moment, and I believe that
Mhm.
that was his intention, to be honest, like because if you think about it, the joke was out of place. Like, I mean, it made 0 to no sense to even mention in the first part because it was out of place, and I
Yeah.
know comedians usually leave their strongest punchline for the end, and for that
Mhm.
purpose of it being memorable, no matter how people take it,
Mhm.
like whether it's good or bad. And I think that's what he was
Mhm.
going for, that shock factor. And I really don't feel like he cared whether it was a good or bad. It was just the fact the reaction that he's getting from it now is probably what he wanted from the jump.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and that's why, like you mentioned, like, I feel like he left it to the end because he knew a lot of people this was gonna be talk. So, he did his part with that, and to me, my first reaction, because I didn't watch, like, the whole roast, like, the whole, Netflix
Mm,
show, but I watched, like, the
yeah.
clips, and when I was watching his segment and once I heard it, my first, like, reaction honestly was like, "Yikes."
Yeah.
And so, not because I think, like, comedians can't joke about difficult topics, because a lot of them they do have dark
Yeah.
humor, and so some people, might agree with it and go along and laugh, and some people might find it
Hmm.
sensitive, and especially just because it is a difficult topic with George
Hmm.
Floyd, it is, like, still sensitive to a lot of
Yeah.
people, and so I could understand why some people were upset because it's still a sensitive topic for a lot of
Hmm.
people, and it just with comedians, don't know what you're gonna expect to come out their mouths,
Exactly.
honestly. So it's hard to really, like, judge this kinda
Hmm.
situation because, again, some people might find it funny, others might find it offensive. And so, did you find it, like, funny to you or offensive, or do you think it was somewhere in
I
between?
think it's like I said, it was a shock factor that, was
Mhm,
intentional on his part that I think he was going for, but I feel like
mhm.
due to the pain that that family and everyone involved went through at that
Yeah.
time and still most likely going through because grief is a wave, and,
Yes.
in the movement that it had started at that time, like, obviously, that wasn't the first time that something of that nature had happened, but it was the start of people being of opening their eyes to it and people actually filming and, getting in during that time, it was around, the COVID time, so
Mhm,
people were constantly on their
mhm.
phones, constantly on the internet. So that's it got a lot bigger than other situations that were similar in the past. And I feel
Oh, yeah.
like with all that stuff that happened and what it did with the Black community and everything, it did come off as offensive. And
Yeah.
like I said, no matter who said it, no matter how it was said, it was gonna be offensive no matter what. And but that's dark humor for you. And it sucks when you're the butt of the joke, but sorry to say it's not gonna stop certain comedians from bringing things up, especially if they feel like they're gonna get
No.
that factor that's like, gonna take them off, like weather directions. Some people don't believe in bad press. They feel like the fact
No.
that their name is going out there, that's all that they care about, to be honest.
And I agree with that. And like for me, I just feel like it was somewhere in between because of course, like from the outsiders who are not really dealing with the situation like the family is, like I wasn't personally offended, but I also wasn't really laughing, honestly, like uncontrollably, because I can understand like both sides. Like some people might see it as comedy and dark, and they love dark
Mhm,
humor, but others see as like of it as like a light of the tragedy. So people, especially like the family, it might reignite the whole situation all over again and bring up like all these emotions. So I could understand why they could feel a certain way about type of dark humor. And it's just unfortunately it does suck because again, like you mentioned, comedians sometimes that's like their go-to is dark humor and that's how they get their viral like
mhm,
hits. And so, like, we can't control that. It just all depends on, like, who does take into the context of that of the jokes like
mhm.
that. It's just hard in my opinion, like, it's hard
No, for
and
sure, because and I think what it is was because, like, for one, I was never really one to really love, like, comedy like that, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm,
I always saw comedy as it was just different, like, there are some great comedians out
mhm.
there, and, like, in
Oh,
my
yes.
adult age, in my mature adult age
Mhm,
right now, I can see a lot of the humor, but
mhm.
younger me, like, just a lot of things that adults found funny at the time, I didn't find it funny. And so it's like a lot
Same.
of things weren't relatable to me. And
Yeah.
so Kevin Hart, and which is why I like his comedy so much, is because he was the first comedian that I had listened to that it a lot of his stuff, whether I related to it or not, it it was
Mhm.
funny all around. And, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
made fun of himself. And I think that's where
Yeah,
we get
yeah.
spoiled with because Kevin Hart, he's the type of comedian where he will make fun of himself and make light of his own personal dark humor. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so when it comes to other comedians, they will talk about others at others' expense. And
Mhm.
so I think with us being used to how Kevin Hart is, we're thinking that the roast or whatever, people are going to follow that same path or whatever, and that's not the case.
Mhm.
And, and so,
No.
any form of disrespect to the deceased is going to cause pain. And because, that person is no longer alive to even defend themselves,
Yeah.
and the fact of how he died, it's very just it's sensitive and it's touchy. And of all the things that have transpired from back in the day of how comedians were and up till now and everything, a lot of
Mhm.
things have gotten really just really sensitive. Back then when it was considered funny, and nowadays it's, it's like, hmm, I think that you went too far.
It's
Yeah.
different. It's
Yeah, it's
different.
different, and so it's like
Yeah,
but, 10 years ago, would that had been something that people would have laughed at? Or, you just you don't know. It's just a
you don't
times are
know.
constantly gonna be changing, so with that being said, possibly the way that comedians are, they're gonna have to I don't necessarily want them to change how they are because I want people to be their authentic selves, but it's just it is what
Yeah.
it is. I feel if you're going to make a sensitive joke about something, if you're gonna make a joke about something so sensitive like that, you have to let the punchline stick, and it has to be to where it sticks for everybody involved. It can't just be something where one side
Mhm.
of the group is gonna be like, "Oh, that's funny," and other people are like, "That was offensive." You know? You have to make
Right,
it to where everyone can
right.
understand. If you can't do that, then I say just don't say the joke.
Oh, and I agree with you on that, and to piggyback off of you, like, sometimes people can be, like, overly sensitive, but I also think, like, there are topics that do carry so much pain, like you mentioned, and that you have to understand, like, why people might act emotionally, and just because you're allowed to joke about something doesn't mean everybody will find it funny. So, again, like, with controlling what comedians do, unfortunately we can't control that. I mean, if some people feel like certain comedians that do dark humor, the best thing probably will be for that person who is sensitive is not to watch them because you know you're going to be upset and you know you're going to find offense to it. And so if you know how that comedian is, the best thing for you to do is to avoid watching what they say cuz most likely it's going to strike a nerve.
Exactly.
And so I mean, that's all you can do, because again, you can't control what comes out their
Yeah.
mouths,
Prior
unfortunately.
to this roast, I had no
Yeah,
idea who that guy was.
me
And with
either.
knowing how he is, it's like, okay, well, if I don't find his stuff funny, then I just won't support him. But, you know,
Right, exactly,
that's just me
exactly.
protecting my peace. So, I can't
Right.
help it. What he's going to say what he wants to say, no matter who cares or not.
Mhm.
So it's like, but in order for me to protect my peace, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't really find that. I find that very distasteful. So
Right,
I'm not going to support it.
right, and then after watching that now you know, like, for those who don't know who he was and now they see what he
Yeah.
did, I mean, just don't support him if, you know, you are offended by what he said, so because most likely he's not gonna stop from there.
No.
Yeah, he's not gonna stop. And so, you think comedians should be allowed to joke about absolutely anything?
And see, that's the thing because there's this whole freedom of speech thing, and that's what a
Yeah,
lot of them take
yeah,
pride on,
yeah,
that's, like, their bread and butter of, like, the freedom of speech, and that's their artistry, that's how they
mhm,
express themselves, and so, like I was saying,
yeah,
I like comedians to be their authentic selves, whether it's good or bad, like, it just depends on who I support
mhm,
and who I don't, but, that's my prerogative.
right,
But,
right, yeah,
if a comedian says something that I don't like I said, I'll move on from their set and it's like, "All right, noted." I'll take a mental note like, "All
yeah,
right, I don't really like what they have to say," then I'm just moving on. But there are certain things that I do find funny. Like, for example, I grew up enjoying Wayans comedy. Like,
oh,
okay, like
yes,
from In
yes,
Living Color all
yes,
the way through White Chicks and even more. Like, and when I say they they touch them limits, they press them boundaries and everything, but it's funny, you know? And
yeah,
it's like talking about stereotypes and everything. It can be considered funny, it can be considered offensive, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like if you can dish it, you can take it type thing. So, but
right, yeah,
it's like we can't pick and choose what we find funny and what we find offensive. And we can't sit here and be like, oh, well, this should be off limits to comedy and everything. It's like, well, that
right,
you can't really do that because that you don't know what type of authenticity you're taking away from someone, you know? You want to allow people to
exactly,
show their true colors because I want to believe them the first time I
mhm,
see it. I don't want you to put on a facade and just, say
yeah,
things that you think I'm going to think is funny, but then you're going to have a whole other set with a whole different audience and say things that I would find offensive. So it's like, no, I want you to say it all
yes.
right now and where I know about it so I know how I need to move on. You know what I mean?
I agree with that, like, honestly, the audience as an audience, we have the freedom to decide whether we're gonna support that
Mhm.
comedian or not. Because again, like going back what you said, comedians should have that creative freedom because it is a freedom of speech. And so if that's how they wanna present their jokes, then that's what they wanna do, but we can't tell them to stop because that's what makes them, again, viral or to get certain audiences that do love their jokes and dark humor. We can't control people who have a freedom of speech. I mean, you just have to honestly let it go. I hate to
Yeah.
say that, but you have to let it go because there's going to be times that is going to strike a lot of nerves, but
Mhm.
they're not gonna
Right.
stop. They're they're not gonna
No.
stop,
And
unfortunately.
I will say that a good comedian knows how to weigh the balance between what's
Mhm.
funny and appropriate versus what's offensive and
Mhm.
unnecessary. And I feel like a good comedian will understand that and will utilize that to their
Yeah.
benefit. And then the other comedians will just say what they want to say. They have what they call a diary of the mouth, and what comes out is what comes out. and and they
Which
don't
is
care
true.
what the consequences are. So that I mean, that's my opinion of it. And it's like that shows who I like and who I don't.
Yeah, and to me personally, I don't think anything is completely, like, off limits, but I do, like, think that some topics do require, like, a higher level of skill and
Yeah.
awareness, and so the more sensitive the topic is, I think the better the joke needs to be, and so, like, I mean, I keep picking back off you, but,
Go
like what you were
ahead.
saying, like, a good comedian will know how to weigh the balance on what is funny and what is appropriate versus, like, what is
Mhm.
offensive. And with comedians, I mean, they gotta do what's best for
Yeah.
them, honestly. They have to. What avenue fits for
Mhm.
them is what they're gonna do. Some people like roasting on like you mentioned Kevin Hart, like roasting on themselves. Some people like roasting on others, and some people like roasting on, unfortunately, topics that are, like,
Mhm.
hard for others to get
Yeah.
over. It's just sad
Yeah.
that a lot of comedians do go through some of this
Yeah.
backlash because all they're trying to do is just do what they love to do, but unfortunately, it does sometimes come with
Mhm.
consequences.
Yeah, for sure. And but they're the ones that have to deal with it, and that just
Yeah.
has to be what they go through. And whether it's something that helps them grow and really
Yeah.
transform how they talk and how they portray with their comedy, that's that. Or if they're
Mhm.
just that type of person, then that's that type of person. It's like, okay, well, we know how to act accordingly.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, like, even with like a comedian too, like someone they can have good intentions and they could still like hurt people and at the same time, I don't think like every joke that offends someone automatically makes that comedian a bad person, because that comedian could still be a good person at the end of the day. It's just once they say like a joke that is very offensive, a lot of people will portray him as somebody who is a horrible person because they'll be like, how can they say that and then be a good
Mhm.
person? Like, what were they
Yeah.
thinking?
But also, like, throughout the roast, though, like, towards the beginning, because like I said, I watched the whole thing, so I
Yeah.
got to get, like, a good,
Hmm.
a good overall of it. At the beginning,
Hmm.
because there was some jokes that were, like I was like, "Ooh." Like like, for one, Sheryl Underwood, they kept coming after
Oh
her
yeah.
for her husband,
Hmm.
and I was just like but
It
the
was hot.
host the host, like, apologized for it right after he said it. He's like, "Listen," because, well, for one, he mentioned he kinda, like, broke the, like, fourth wall, I guess you can say, and he was like, "Listen, I talked
Hmm.
to her ahead of time. She said it was okay." Like, he, like, made sure people knew that,
Okay.
like, "Hey, I got the okay for this, and I wouldn't have said it if she was uncomfortable with it." Like, so I think that's what saved a lot of people during the roast at the beginning, but then it's just when that guy I think his name was Tony. Sorry. But
It probably
but
was.
but when he came and he did his set and everything, he didn't apologize for anything. He was literally unapologetically him. And so I think that's what kinda made it worse too, because it's like, you said a joke. that was offensive to people. You you had no remorse for it, and that was that, and I think that's what made it, like, 10 times worse too, because he didn't he didn't have any, like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like, or, "Hey, I'm just, this is what they wrote for," or whatever, he didn't have any disclaimer. And that's why I think a lot of people took it the way they took it, because it's just like, dang, he gave, like, 0 crap about it, and it's like, wow. But it's like, what do you
Well,
expect, Like, not everybody's gonna feel the same way that you feel. It's an unfortunate situation, and that was not the only unfortunate situation that happened to a person of color by the
yeah.
police. So it's like, you know a lot of people are on different ends of it, and a lot of people have different funnies. And it just, I don't know, where people draw the line is where they draw the line, child.
To be honest, it's always gonna be somebody who's gonna be upset with the comedians and
Yeah,
their
you can't please
jokes,
everybody.
and no, you can't please everybody, and with Tony, I think that was his name
Mhm.
too, Tony, with him, I mean, honestly, I don't know if he's gonna issue an apology
I
or
doubt it.
not, but but, I mean, I hope nobody's not expecting him
Yeah,
to, because you might not get that
don't do it.
apology, and he's probably think everything is okay, like, he's probably fine with after telling that joke, like, it probably is not honestly bothering him, to
Yeah,
be
and I
honest.
feel like people like that, until you experience something that really cuts you deep, and depending on how you
Mhm.
deal with certain things like that, you're just not gonna
Mm.
understand. And whether he cares or he doesn't, or
Right.
he was just putting on an act or whatever, we may never know. But it is what it is.
Right.
He is who he is, and all I can say is if he's showing his colors now, then believe him now and just act accordingly.
It's
Like,
gonna
don't try
happen.
and, cancel him or whatever. Just don't support it. Don't feed it any energy.
Right, and just don't watch him, point period
Yeah,
blank,
can't hurt you if you don't
honestly.
know what he's saying.
And most comedians too, I mean, they're also not gonna spend their careers trying not to offend anyone, honestly, because that's
Yeah, if I
impossible.
had to tippy
It's
toe through the tulips for every little thing
ooh,
that I said, child,
that's gonna be
oh my
tough. That is gonna
gosh,
be
yes.
that's unrealistic. I
Yeah, I
mean,
have I have
r
some spice
yes.
to me as well, and sometimes I say things a little bit quicker than I should have, and I probably should have put on a filter. But I mean, of course, I don't get that offensive now. But but there are some things where I'm saying, and I'm like, right after I said, I'm like, "Ooh, did I go too far?" You know?
Yes,
But it's
yes.
like, but
Yeah,
hey, but the type of person I am, I'm remorseful for things, and if I know that it hurt
yeah,
somebody, and if they said that it hurt them, then it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll own up to it. But I don't know what type of person this guy is. Like I said, this is my first time ever hearing his name ever seeing this guy.
same.
Will I support anything else that he does? Probably not. But hey, this was the one
Yeah,
time
me
that I got to
too.
see his work, and it's like, I guess first impressions are everything, because I mean, I wouldn't support anything else, but I mean, I would still support Kevin
No,
Hart because,
right.
Kevin didn't say that. It was that guy that said it. So it's like he's not responsible for what that guy said.
With dark humor, I mean, that has always existed. I mean, we can't control dark humor,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so, like, with some like of the dark jokes that are out there, just always wonder why some do work and others don't. What do you think about dark humor in your
I
opinion?
feel like it's a timing for everything. And it
Mm,
depends on what you're talking about. Like, if I
mhm.
were to say something dark about my own past, um, I don't have an
Right,
example right now, and I don't feel like thinking of one. But if I were to say something just dark and just like, oh my gosh, like shock factory, right?
right,
It, if I can
right.
laugh about it and it's about me, then I feel like that opens the door for other people to be like, okay, well, she's laughing at it. It happened to her. So it's like, okay, well, if she finds it funny, then we can laugh at it too. But on that same
Right.
note, if I find someone else's tragedy funny, and the majority of people don't find it funny, and but yet I still make the joke anyway, then that's where it's like, okay, that was a little bit unnecessary, because it's kind of like that wasn't my story to tell type thing. And so I
Exactly.
think that's what that it like really pushed that boundary to where it's like, okay, you really left the whole offense of, like, it's now just disrespectful, like you shouldn't have said it. It made no sense. And so
Yes,
yeah,
and
so I
I
think
agree.
that's where, like, the whole, like, dark humor thing comes in and everything. It just really, it's the timing, and depends on what you're talking about and who you're talking about.
Mhm. Yeah, and I agree. Like it is the timing and the delivery and also the creativity in regards to like how the jokes that they do
Yeah.
tell. And so I know some comedians are able to make you laugh at uncomfortable situations because a joke is clever. Others just say like something shocking and expect people to laugh, and sometimes it's not funny. It's just like it will just get you in a factor like,
Mhm.
wow, did that person just say that? Like
Yeah.
really? And so a lot of times, whether the joke is funny or not, people have laughed at dark humors for decades. And so if people aren't laughing, then they're focusing on the offensiveness instead of the actuality of the joke and actually listening to it. So like for the George Floyd, like once they probably heard his name, they were probably like, "Oh," like they tuned out the whole
Mhm.
joke. They're just listening to his
Mhm.
name and not focusing on the
Yeah.
joke. And so right there, like their offensiveness just went
Yeah.
like
Already a wall
skyrocket.
was brought up.
Was
Yeah.
built, yes. And so me, like I'm the type of person I don't like to laugh at other people's pain. 'Cause I never, like, found it funny because just this is just me, like, if I picture myself in that other person's shoe and somebody's making a joke about that person, and I know it's, like, something that is really touching and heartfelt, I just me personally, I just wouldn't find it funny because I can only imagine, like, how they feel or what the emotions are going through with
Yeah,
them,
you have, like,
and so
sympathy, and if you relate, you have empathy
right.
for them, so it makes sense.
Yes. Yes, and it's just it's tough, like, I could just use my example. Somebody would talk about my deceased husband. I I honestly,
Say it's on site?
I probably wouldn't find it funny. Yes, like, I would turn red.
Yeah,
Like, you'll see a whole 'nother side of me because
I
it's
believe it.
just that's not something that I think is
Right.
funny. But I know my late husband had dark humor, so I know he would want me to laugh, but me
Yeah.
personally, I just dark humor just for me is on certain situations, I just don't find really
Right.
funny. And and so I know since this situation did happen with the George Floyd, there was an interview at the Breakfast Club with Kevin
Mhm.
Hart, and I did watch like a clip of that interview of what he was saying. And so, basically what I got from it, Kevin Hart basically was just saying that since it was his roast and his name was the headline, that everybody is attaching him to it because it's his
Mhm.
show. And so a lot of people are blaming him like he knew what the comedian was going to say. And so what Kevin Hart was saying when Charlamagne was just asking him questions about like how he felt, and Kevin Hart is close with the family, like how he felt being close to the family and this happened. Basically, Kevin Hart was just explaining like he can't control what people say,
Right.
unfortunately. Family knows how he feels, and Kevin Hart also mentioned, like, he wouldn't say that joke. That's something that he doesn't agree with saying, but again, he can't control what people
Yeah.
say. So, it just sucks that his name had to be attached to what happened because now people are looking at him being like, "Oh, you agreed with the joke, and you basically are a part of that joke," and he wasn't. So it sucks when you're like a higher figure and then you get brought into things like that because some things you can't control what
Right.
happens. So that's what I was getting from that interview, what he was explaining. And I can kind of see where he's coming
Mhm.
from with that because it wasn't his
Right.
fault what
Mhm.
happened. I just hate that his name had to be attached to
Right.
it. I feel like he is handling the criticism good. Like he's answering everything in a mature way.
Oh, and for sure, and, like, when it comes to just, like, public names and public figures in the industry
Mhm.
and everything, big names, they're always going to be in the headlines no matter what.
Oh, yes.
Like, a
Yes,
portion of the
unfortunately.
interview that he did, he was mentioning, like, he gave an example of if he was at a club, and if something went down
Yep.
at the club
Yep.
and everything, then it's like he would be at like, the headlines would mention, like, "Oh, Kevin Hart's party, and this is what happened," and it's like and he didn't even
Mhm.
have to know the people that were involved and everything, and, like and he
Nope.
and that was a great example because it's like, whether you have a big name when you have a big name people are going to use it for their stories. I mean, heck, we're
Yep.
gonna be using his name for our podcast when we post it. So, I mean, of course, we're not
Right.
using it in a negative light, but
Right.
it is what it is. And if we were big names, like personally, if I were someone famous and someone used my name, I'd be like, hey, go on, use it. If it helps you get along
Right.
or whatever, do what you gotta do, then go ahead. Because what it does is it'll help get you popping and it's gonna help keep me current, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
positive or
Yeah.
negative, I know those who know me know what's real and what's not. So I wouldn't be tripping over it. I mean, like, so hey, I feel if I'm a big name, use it all you want to. I mean, good luck pronouncing it, but go on and go on and use it if you want to.
Hey, go ahead.
Power to you.
I mean, being a public figure, it kinda it has its pros and
Mhm.
cons, and it's like, it's nothing you can do with your name being attached. I mean, all you can do, of course, you're gonna get interviewed. All you can do is
Yeah.
just answer the questions in a good professional and mature
Mhm.
way and say how you feel about, like, the
Yeah.
situations. But again, I mean, their names are always going to be attached to anything that where there's something, like, tragic or something that's
Mhm.
viral, and most of them are trained to
Yeah.
know, like, how to respond to things like
Yeah, and
that.
one thing that
And
I
so
really can't stand
mhm.
is, like, people make
Mhm.
mistakes, right? And
Yeah, nobody
if
yeah.
they're showing remorse for it and they're trying to move on and really just change their actions altogether and become a better person, then let that be that. What I
I
can't
agree.
stand is a whole apology tour of people having to every single interview they go
Uh,
to, having to say apologies and everything. It's like, listen, you can say sorry until you are blue in the face, and people will still not believe you. But it's how you change and
exactly.
how you show with your actions of who you are. And
Mhm.
honestly, sad to say it or not sad to say it, but it's what you sign up for when you become a
Yeah.
public figure in general. You're signing up for your name to get passed around from media platform to from one platform to the other, and whether it's good or bad.
Everything.
And it
Right.
is what it is. Like I said, there's some people that can really handle the fame very well. But,
Yeah,
obviously media training comes into play, but there's some people that can really handle it. They have thick skin and it is what it is. If they can dish it, they can take it. And then there's other
I agree.
people that can't handle it. They have the talent to get them where they are, but they don't have the the guts or the thick skin
Mhm.
to
Thick skin.
withstand the criticism because they're so deep into their artistry and they feel like, this is who I am and you guys are judging me for who I am. And it's like people are just natural trolls. Like, whether they
Right.
believe their trollism or not, they are going to do it because that's gonna get them attention.
Exactly.
That's gonna get their career popping. And so it's like,
Oh,
sometimes
yes.
you just have to weed between it. It's like, you know what? You can't put any energy towards it. Like, me personally, if and when if I ever got famous, like, I'm not saying that I'm trying to
Mm.
go towards that route, but if I ever
Right,
did,
right.
I would make sure that I would have a strong team around me to help me get through any negative criticism about me to where,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just to have support and just to have the resources that I need to conquer that. Because people are like we were saying, people are going to say what they want to say. And whether it's true or not, you just have to find a way through it versus trying to either
Mhm.
avoid it or trying to always plead your case in every interview you give. It's just like,
Mhm.
I love it when celebrities are just amazing and they've mastered the fact of talking around a compliment that's or talking around a question that is offensive.
Oh,
I feel
yes.
like I
Yeah.
love watching interviews like that because it's like that interviewer is trying you, but you're not giving them the
Mhm.
satisfaction. And I think that's a beautiful thing when you're able to do that because it's like you're basically saying your question is so off base to where it's like, I'm not even gonna pay any attention and I'm gonna show you in your face
Mhm.
how dumb that question was without telling you that it was dumb. But I'm gonna let everyone else read
Yeah.
between the lines because it's like I'm not gonna put energy towards that.
Feed
Yeah.
into it. Exactly. Exactly, and what a lot of people gotta understand, celebrities are humans, and they're not perfect. They make mistakes. It happens. and it's just up to them if they wanna grow from it or if they wanna still be stuck in what happened and not grow from it, but at the end of the day, it's like, you gotta let them
Mhm.
grow, and you can't just chastise them from one moment because you seen it, and then, again, like what you were saying with the trolls, all they wanna do is get the celebrity's attention. So, because they know some celebrities, like, they do respond back to negative
Mhm.
comments, and I give it to some of the celebrities who gotten to a point where they just
Mhm.
ignore it. Like, they will, like, make a post or something that will basically be a clapback, but it's not
Mhm.
like, bad, it's just like a
It's like
like
it's
a professional
cleverly
clapback.
done with class.
Yes,
Like,
with
I love that. I'm
class.
over here applauding as I'm reading like, "Ooh,
Me
good
too.
job."
Yes, take the higher road. Don't let these trolls
Yeah,
get you because that's what they wanna do, they wanna bring you
exactly.
down. So I know, another thing that was talked about too, on the roast was the Kevin Hart and Cat
Oh,
Williams
yeah.
relationship. I didn't know that they had, like, a beef until I was watching it.
Really?
No, I know I wasn't really following up with that, and so I didn't know they had a major
Oh,
beef
no.
like
I know
that,
they had I
and
mean, I didn't know the, like, full details and, like, all that stuff, but I
yeah,
do know that, like, Cat would always throw shots at Kevin Hart any chance he got. And
and
and, like,
so
they
yeah, yeah,
didn't I knew they didn't mesh well. I honestly thought that I'm like, "Well, that is a waste because you both are very funny, and I know that magic can happen
exactly,
if y'all did a project together." But but,
exactly, like
I was aware of their beef.
crazy because when I was watching the clip of the what Cat Williams was
Oh.
saying, I don't know if I mean, I feel like some of the stuff he was saying is how he really felt. He was just trying to make it,
Oh,
like, as
yeah.
a joke, but I
He's a good
honestly and then
comedian.
I was
He
looking
knew
at
how to balance.
yes, but he did a good job because some people were laughing, but other people, I was looking at their faces, like, I was looking at Kevin Hart face, like, he would laugh, but sometimes I was wondering, like, is that a fake laugh? Because I would look at his face, like, is he really laughing or is he trying to, like, hide, like, he's upset because, he's talking how he
I
feels.
honestly what I took from it, and because I did,
Yeah.
also he had mentioned it in the interview that he did at the Breakfast Club, and he
Mhm.
was saying, like, they did already reconcile, like, 8 months ago,
Oh.
prior
Oh,
to
wow,
that
okay.
roast. So
Okay,
and
okay.
obviously he was invited too. Like he personally invited Kat for the roast. And Kat said
Right,
like if
right.
I like we just made up, like if I come, I'm going to come with it. And he was like, "Yes." Like that. And I think and like I was saying, Kevin Hart is he's really made a career off of laughing at his own pain. Like literally.
That's true.
so
That's true. That
so
is
I
true.
think
That
that,
is
that was just like the icing on the cake and I thought it was perfect for me. Like, I really thought that was perfect bringing Kat out in the way they did. Like, I mean, like, I know you said you didn't watch the whole thing, but girl, you gotta watch it,
right.
like, when he comes out because, like, if I didn't already know that Cat Williams was there, it would have been the ultimate
Mhm.
shock factor, and I would have been like, no freaking way. Like, cause I
What?
mean, like, the way they did it, I don't wanna spoil it for you, but the way they brought him out and
Okay.
everything, like, you gotta watch it. Um, but I found it very, very, very tasteful of how the whole thing happened and
Okay.
then how they had a public reconciliation in front of everybody, and it's like, that's how you do
Yeah.
it, you know?
That's
A
for
lot of
sure.
people will say they'll bring up like, "Oh, yeah, we're getting older and everything," and age does play a factor in that case because it's like, who
Yeah.
wants to be 80 something years old still having beef with somebody? Because at that point, what you gonna do?
What is
What you gonna
beef?
do?
That's what
What you
I
gonna do?
feel
Pick up
like.
your cane and swing it at somebody?
And swinging at
Stop it.
yes. Like, no, we're too old for that. Like,
Yes, so it's
no.
like and it's pointless and, like and having all that negative energy, it weighs you down, it ages you, it's gonna give you wrinkles and gray hairs.
Exactly. And you don't want
Yeah.
that at an early
Yeah,
age.
okay, I love my beautiful skin, and I'm not trying to
Me
have
too. Yes.
anything get in the way of this beauty that's going on here, I do pay attention more
Exactly.
towards my inner beauty is and, like, making sure that I stay a good
Mhm.
person and all that stuff regardless of
Yes.
how spicy I can get. But
Yes.
but it's like I don't have time for the negativity, like, and I've felt that in my I wanna say my early to mid-20s is when I started that realization of, like, I don't really have time for the negativity, you know?
And I feel like most times when you get, like, about closer to 30 is, like, when you start to realize,
Mm,
like, all you want is
yeah.
peace. That's all you
Mhm. I
crave.
wanna say 30 is like the cutoff. Like, once you hit 30, it's like
Yeah.
you automatically are grown. Like,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know? It's like,
yes.
okay, you done went you the 2s was for a long time, and then now that 3 is in front, it's
Right.
like, okay,
Yes.
I really need to get my act together because,
You
like, who
right.
wants to be 30 something and being just being toxic?
Toxic is
E
not cute
exactly, I was just about to say
at
that, that
all.
ain't cute.
Yes. Yes, it's not cute at all.
Yeah.
No.
That that roast was good, girl. I really feel you need to go back and you need to watch it. It's
Imma watch the
yeah,
whole
it's
thing. Just
definitely
need
worth
it.
the
Yes.
watch, and after
Okay.
I wanna say everyone did well and everything. I didn't know everybody that came up there and everything, but you'll notice when after,
Okay.
like, a certain comedian I don't wanna say who because I wanna get your opinion. I don't know, after certain a
Ooh,
comedian that went up there, the whole rest of the show was just like, "Oh, okay, it's a roast now."
it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
So, I
Okay,
wanna get
okay.
your opinion after you watch it, so we'll move on from that
Ooh,
and, let's go into the
yes.
next subject, shall we? Okay.
Yes.
So, one thing I do wanna mention is we started this podcast, like the show itself, talking about the beauty
Mhm.
of friendship. In fact, our first episode ever was called The Power of Friendship. Which reminds
Yes.
me, if you are new to our platform, welcome. But, definitely go check out our very first video because, like I said, it was our
Mhm.
very first one. And I feel it's a great timestamp to show our growth from episode 1 up until
Mhm.
now 10. Oh my gosh. Ah. So,
10,
yeah,
10
so it's only
episodes.
fitting. We started off with talking about the beauty of friendship, but
Mhm.
it's you also got to talk about the not so beautiful side of friendship, aka the toxic side.
Yes. Whew.
Because romantic relationships aren't the only ones that can be toxic. Friendships can
No.
be just as bad, if not worse, and they
Yes.
can be hard to notice. So, let's get into it.
Oh,
When it
Lord.
comes to toxic friendships, what does like in your opinion, Amia, what does a toxic friendship look like to you?
So, a toxic friendship to me is like where one basically in the relationship constantly leaves the other feeling like very drained, unsupported, or even have you like questioning your worth. And so it's when basically there's more stress than peace and more competition than celebration and more taking than
Mhm.
giving. And to me, like anything that feels like is not balancing is
Facts,
toxic.
facts. No, I totally agree with everything
Yeah.
you said. And to me, a toxic friendship, it looks one-sided. It's no support given.
Mhm. Nope.
Anytime you try to shine a little bit of light, they are right there to dim it back down.
Yes.
and but those are like the obvious signs. And sad to say there are signs that are not as obvious. And those are where they give you that
Mhm.
fake support. And and then,
Yes.
where they talk behind your back and or they never speak up for you when the
Right.
opportunity presents itself, they stay quiet. And it's like, that's building grounds of toxicity.
Agree. And that is just you don't want that in your
Yeah, and
life.
so it brings to another question of can friendships become toxic over time, or are the signs always there?
I honestly think both can happen. Sometimes the signs were there all along and we ignore them because we love that person is like the same as just like relationships. Like when you love somebody, you ignore those red flags until it gets to a point where, oh, now I see that that person is just toxic to
Mhm.
me. And so other times people can generally change and then the circumstances can change as well. And the friendship can become like unhealthy at times. And so if you feel like something is more like one sided, I just feel like that's never not going to work
No, no, I
at
definitely
all.
agree because I feel the same. I feel like it can be both. A person will show you their true
Yeah.
colors and it can be at the
Mhm.
beginning of the friendship or it can be years down the line.
Yeah.
But I do know that when those colors show, pay attention. no matter when it happens.
Oh, yes.
You know, like, for
Yes.
example, I used to have a friend or who I thought was a friend, and she was just so negative. And, like, looking
Oh.
back on it now, I'm like, I feel like she just really had to be unhappy with her life because
Ooh.
damn.
Ooh.
But anyways, when when me and her first met,
Mhm.
we were young and, going
Yeah.
through, like, that puberty stage and everything, like, I was wearing big baggy clothes and,
Mhm.
just not comfortable with my coming into womanhood, shall we say. And so when I
Mhm.
did start accepting my young womanhood coming into place, I started wearing clothes that actually fit. I wasn't dressing like
Mhm.
risque or anything. I was dressing appropriate for my age,
Right.
obviously, because what?
Yes.
And so, but that change kind of like made, I guess, her feel a certain type of way. I don't know why. And
Oh, wow.
so that's when I noticed, like, the problem starting, like, with her and I. I got called derogatory
Oh.
names. I won't go into what names I was called, but the names were called, and not necessarily to my
Wow.
face all the time. Like, if it was to my face, it would be,
Mhm.
like, as a joke, and, like, I was supposed to find it funny, but didn't. But, it was a lot of behind my back that I was hearing that stuff was being said,
Mm.
and, assumptions were being made for whatever, etcetera. Long story short, we stopped being friends and we never really ever spoke again, and it is what it is. But, that was on her being unhappy with me for whatever reason, like, I don't know. Like, of course, there's more to the story, there's more that went down, but it's just I don't really feel like putting all my
Right.
energy towards that. It happened so long ago, but it's just an example that I wanted to use.
I was just gonna say, like, most times when people do that, like, they say they're your friends, and most times they want you to be, like, the shadow. They don't want
Yeah.
you to be the spotlight.
Yeah.
So, when you start to come out of your cocoon and be like the
Mhm.
butterfly, they try to dim that because they don't want you to power
Yeah.
their
They have, like, main
attention, and
character
so that's
energy.
yeah, main character energy, and that's what you definitely need to watch out for because when they have that main character energy, anything that you do, any accomplishments, they will do anything to try to tear you
Yeah,
down.
and it's like and that's the beauty
Yes.
of me and my friendships that I have. I don't really have that main
Mhm.
character energy. Like, if a friend is winning,
Me either.
regardless of whatever
Yeah.
situation I'm in, I'm going to root them on, you know? Like, I don't
Yes.
have it in me to be, like, hating of, "Oh, how they are, like, how dare," like, for example, I have a friend who is very well known. She's popular in the industry and everything.
Mhm.
We grew up together.
Mhm.
I am not about to sit here and hate on her progression. I saw what that girl went
Right.
through and what she has how hard she worked to get to where she is, and she deserves every bit of it. And so it's like,
Mhm.
I am not that type of friend to be like, "Oh, I can't stand her. She moved on and she did" it's like,
Yep.
"What?" No, I'm like, "Good on you, sis." I
Yes,
celebrate her,
like, you
she celebrates me. Like, we are
right.
good? And so when people are
Yeah.
toxic in your life, it's like
Mhm.
and the type of friend that I am, I give people chance after chance after chance?
Same,
Yeah, and
same,
so it's like
same.
and when I'm a friend, I'm a friend, you know? And so it hurts
Yes.
when you find out someone who you thought was, like, supposed to be there for you, supposed to be your safety as a friend, and they start turning
Mhm.
on you, or at least you start seeing that they're turning on you. And and it's like,
Mhm.
it kinda it does something to you, especially when you're the type of person that we are, you know? And so,
Yeah.
like but I will say that I am glad that I was able to see what type of person that she was
Mhm.
at a young age, because I will
Yep.
say that it helped me become a better me. It helped me become stronger and be more
Mhm.
cautious of who I choose to be friends with.
And sometimes it does take for us to, to go through things like that. Cause I had toxic friendships too, and, I gave 'em chance after chance, and now that I'm older and I realize, I don't have time for
Mhm.
that, and all I want is just peace. I'm okay with my small group of friends.
Same.
I'm fine, and I notice now, when people are older, I see why they have a small group.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say my mom is, like, the only one that I know that has as many friends as she does, but
What?
Girl, that's a whole
Oh,
other
Lord.
episode, but I'm just saying, like, I
Ooh.
I don't know how she does it because I am so comfortable with my small
Mm-mm.
circle, and, you know, it's easy for me
Yep,
to keep track of. It's a lot of energy that I put
yep,
towards my friends and everything, so having to do that for, like,
girl.
hundreds of people, oh my gosh,
That's too much.
way too much.
That is too much.
No.
Unnecessary
Girl,
stress that we don't need.
I'm saying.
Ooh.
And so that brings, another question about friendships. It's like, do you know the difference between a rough season and a
Mm.
toxic relationship?
That's a great question. And so, with a rest season, it is temporary. And with a toxic relationship, that can become like a pattern. And so, in a rough season, like both people still care and are trying. But in a toxic friendship, like one person is usually doing all the work while the other person keeps causing that harm. And so, to me, with the rest season, you can eventually get over as long as both of the people are in a understanding, like they understand each other and they're willing to work on trying to build their friendship. But if somebody is in that toxic situation with their friend, it's not going to work because it's just going to keep getting worse and it's just going to keep causing more harm to one person than the
No,
other.
yeah, for sure. Like, there's definitely a difference between, I want to say, between someone acting
Hmm.
out versus someone hating
Yes.
on you. And it can be
Yes.
subtle, the lines can be blurred, but it all boils down
Hmm.
to how well you really know someone. If they're a true friend and you really know them, then you can I feel like you can see the difference. And, like,
Oh
take us
yeah.
for example. Like, we
Mhm.
used to spend a lot of time together, girl. So,
Yes.
and I knew what type of person that you were at a very, like, earlier on in our friendship as we were building it. And
Yes.
so, like, when
Yes.
you would pull back from, seeing me or whatever, I could have
Hmm.
easily took it as well, forget her. She don't want to hang out with me, like,
Right.
whatever. But I didn't because, for one, like I said, I knew what type of person you were and I knew that wasn't you. And so,
Right.
that's when I reached out to you, and then, without letting your business be out there, I just, we talked about it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what kind
Mhm.
of built our trust factor with one another because you trusted me
Oh, yeah.
with your, situation. And what I did in return was I just tried to be as positive as I could and just,
Yep.
just make sure that I was as supportive as I could be, as a supportive friend and everything. And I feel like that's what friends do. You are
Yes.
constantly trying to you're constantly trying to make a situation better, and you can't make it all about you, because everyone
No.
goes through something, whether they say it or not. You have to be the type of person that's willing to bend and willing to go that extra mile because especially if you want it done for you, you definitely have to do it
Mhm.
for others. And I know for a fact that you got my back, and that's what makes it easier to have
Okay.
your back. And and that's what builds
Yes.
our friendship and keeps it strong. And so I feel like with us when you go through things with friends, then I feel like that's what helps you really understand them, and it's
Mhm.
easy to decipher whether there's like, okay, they're going through a rough patch, we gotta give them some grace, like, this is not them, versus, like, this is a person that just you're naturally just a hater, like, I feel like it's very easy
Right.
to decipher those things when you really know someone. And if you can't decipher
Oh,
it,
yeah.
then you need to take more time to get to know that person because those are the type
Yeah.
of relationships that are gonna break you if you allow it.
And I agree. That's why I don't understand how people can, like, call everybody friends so quickly.
Yes.
Like, they use that term so loosely. And it's just like, not everybody is your friend. And like we mentioned on the first episode, like you gotta like differentiate associates and
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm.
Because not everybody you meet is actually going to be your friend. There'll be somebody who you can associate with, but not somebody who you can come to and vent to and talk to everything about.
Exactly.
Yes. I know I do appreciate
Oh,
you,
of course.
like, understanding me and I understand you, and that's what it is all
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, and I know, like, cause in a lot of instance, we're very similar, but then there are parts where we're very
Mhm.
different. Like, I can come off very very strong at times. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're very sweet, but you do have that
Mm,
firmness in you. It just takes different
yeah,
things to bring that out. Just like it took different things
yeah,
to bring that out of me. So with
yeah.
us being able to be on that same ground and understanding one another, I think that's what helps our friendship flourish. And it's
Oh,
like, and we
yeah,
really like a lot of my friends, I don't have problems with them. Like we don't clash. And it's like,
same,
and I realize a
same.
lot of the friendships that I clashed with in the past, we're not really friends anymore because it's like
Nope.
I can't have the majority of our friendship being us arguing all the time or us being at odds. It's like,
No,
why?
it's not
It's
healthy,
not.
it's not
And it's
healthy
so
at
and
all.
it's just so much energy that's like wasted. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, and your body will let you know, like,
Yeah.
you will have that
Mhm.
subconscious that's gonna let you know if that person is good for you or
Yeah,
not.
and then what you go through on the inside will show on the outside, you know?
Mhm.
Whether it
Big
shows in your
time.
face, whether it shows in your weight,
Yep,
whether it shows anywhere, but it what happens on the inside
everywhere.
will reflect on the outside. So that's why you have to make
Exactly.
sure whoever is in your circle is pure and there for you and vice versa because if not, it's going to weigh you down and you'll notice everybody else is going to be doing great and then you over here like, "What's going on with me? Why is
Stuck.
my health so bad?" Like,
Exactly, and
yeah, and it's
behind.
like, it's who you have around you, sis.
Yes, you gotta be
Yeah,
careful.
and then and that brings on the journey to success, you know? Like, why do some
Yeah.
friends change when one person starts to grow?
Mm. Well, I feel like growth does force people to like look into themselves. And sometimes, like, your success does inspire people. And other times, it does highlight like areas of their own life and that, like, what they're unhappy with. Basically, when one person starts growing, to me, like, if you're a true friend to that person, you should be wanting to praise them and actually like uplift them and sometimes look at their growth like as inspiration because it's like, oh, I'm so proud of my friend. Like, I want to be successful like
Yeah,
how
it's
where they're at.
inspiring.
And it's yeah, it's like it should inspire you, not like make you envious and jealous and be
Yeah.
like, oh, like for example, your friend that you were mentioning, like, oh, she's a big shot.
Mhm.
Like basically you want to see their downfall,
Right.
basically. Like you don't want to be like that
I
type
could
of
never. I
person.
could never because it's like what you put out
Me
there is what you get
neither.
back. And me just being,
Yeah,
yeah, with
karma.
me just being a negative person and just knowing that that will be coming back to me, it's like, nah. I've noticed that so much good has
No.
happened in my life when I have just been positive all the way around, and I prefer that way
Yes.
more than than the
Yes.
alternative. And so and some people they don't like change, you know, and since they
Right.
don't like
Yeah.
it then they don't want others around them to change because then in a way that's going to force them to change and they're not ready for it for whatever reason. And like the old saying goes,
No.
old habits die hard and change can be very scary,
Mm,
but it's also necessary for true growth to occur. And
I
until this
agree.
day, I'm
Yes.
I'm constantly changing and pivoting my
Yep.
lifestyle in order for to make things better for my future. And, and if
Same.
and if I allowed
Yes.
fear to change if I allowed fear of change to hold me back, then who knows what blessings I would have missed out on.
Yes, a lot. Because fear can
Oh,
hold you
yeah.
back.
Oh, yeah, and I think I mentioned that in a
Yeah.
past episode. I really need to
Yeah,
know
she
what
did.
episodes these are, like, girl.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
mention
no,
it.
but it
It was in the
oh,
episode with growth
that
and
makes sense.
womanhood.
Yes, I will try
Yeah.
and make sure that I pin that in here somewhere so people can watch that and everything because, we go in. We cook on that one too. But
Oh,
but
yes,
yeah,
we
no,
did.
definitely you can't allow stuff like that to hold you back. You have to just go for it
Right.
and a true friend is going to understand whatever you're going through and that's what matters.
It's most definitely. I
Mhm.
agree.
So, have you ever felt like someone became distance in your life once you started improving?
Mm. Well, I've definitely seen, like, situations where people were comfortable, and have seen situations where some might have distanced themselves from me, especially, like, when I started thriving. And so, I mentioned before, the older I've gotten, the more I've noticed, like, who is actually there for me and who's actually, like, was there for me for the moment. And so from that, it helped me distinguish, like, who is actually considered my
Mhm.
friends. And so, like, with that being said, is like when you notice people start distancing themselves from you, especially when things are starting to get good for you, then that does show like tell a lot about that person because they should be with you from the beginning, even from like your struggles all the way. I'm not saying like everybody struggles, but from your struggles all the way up to like where you are
Yeah.
now. Because that's what true friendship to me, that's what that
Mhm.
is. Not when you're, like, to the top and then all of a sudden, like, people wanna show up and be like, "Oh, hey, girl, you remember me?" and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. No, why you should have been there for me from the beginning.
Exactly.
And I just wanted to mention, like so, like, with me going through my grief, can say, like, it made me open my eyes more to who's actually, like, there for me and who was there for me for the
Mhm.
moment, and generally say, like, I'm appreciative of because, like, those people were there for me from the
Mhm.
beginning of my grief and to the end, not just, like, when the funeral happened and then just
Right.
disappeared,
No, yeah, no, for sure. They were
and
there with you through thick and thin.
yes, and moments like, that really also opens your eyes up too, because like, something, like, tragic like that, you would think those who you considered your friends or who are, like, close to you, you would think that they will actually be there still, but unfortunately, now I see why people who do go through grief, like, I see why they mention how they lose a lot of friends and stuff because people disappear after the
Mhm.
funeral.
No, no, that is for sure. Um, I
Mhm.
I noticed people changing with me at a young age when I was
Mhm.
16. That's when I noticed a
Mm.
shift. And that's, had the sweet 16 party and
Mm.
had
Oh.
had a surprise car with the
Oh,
ribbon and a bow.
see.
But listen, and without
Ooh.
over here spreading my privilege over here, okay? I mean, like, listen, I was a good person. I still am. And
Yeah.
when you do good,
Yeah.
good things happen to you. And,
Mhm.
sometimes people see the good right away. Sometimes the good takes a little bit for it to be recognized. But
Mhm.
regardless of that, I remember when I got my car, um there were people that I thought were my friends weren't. And instead of them, being happy for my success and happy for my blessings, they decided to hate on it and, you know, and just, try and make trouble for me. Like
See.
going outside and seeing that your car is egged and and
I remember you
yeah,
told me
and it's
that,
just
yep.
like, okay, and mind you, when I went to school, like, I mean, the car got cleaned off and I went to school like nothing happened. Like, it didn't really phase me. If anything, I was just like, "Oh, dang, that sucks," you know? Clean up the situation,
Right,
keep moving
right.
on. It's like, it is what it is. I have an idea. Back then I had an idea and I hold solid to it to this day. I know who probably did it. And, it's like, hey, I really don't care. Because if that's what you guys
No.
felt you needed to do, then I hope that that helped you release whatever tension you had towards me and that you felt better. But
It's
it's like, honestly,
childish.
if I had a friend that got a car and I didn't have one, I'm like, I'm getting free rides to school. Goodbye, bus.
That's what you
Yeah,
would
I'm like,
think.
like, come pick me up at 7, whatever. Like, we ain't got to get to school super early.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have felt like my wins, like, that's how I always treat it. My wins was your wins. If you were my friend, we winning together,
Yeah,
you know? S-
same, that's
Exactly.
how it
So it's like,
was.
but for people to, that's when I realized, like, oh, wow, people are just going to hate on whatever it is because they're not satisfied that they can't have the same thing or whatever. It's like it's not a competition. When it's a true friend, it's a true friend. And no matter where you are
Yes,
in your life, if someone else is winning and you call yourself a friend or supporter of them, then you need to do just that. And
and
exactly, and
celebrate.
celebrate because you never know what that friend could do for you. Not saying to do it, for
Right.
them to do something for you, but I'm just saying you never know what you can learn, what you can gain, what you can just be, which what can come out of that, you know?
Yeah, you're stopping your own blessings,
Exactly. I
basically.
feel like the hatred put builds that wall and it literally it
Mhm.
makes a brick wall. to where it's like now
Yep.
any blessing that was trying to come just got repelled. And yeah, exactly. It
Blocked.
got blocked and it's no longer going to get through because you already
Nope.
built your hatred wall up. And now it's like,
Mhm.
well, any greatness that was trying to come your way, it's not going to get there until you break that down.
Exactly, and that's a good analogy.
Thank you, girl. I just came up with it just now.
Yes, yes. And look, that was good because that is the truth, though. They're building that wall up and they're blocking their
Mhm.
blessings, like, by doing that.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, if I woulda saw you with a car and I knew you like, if me and you were, like, actually closer back then, I would've been like, "Girl, come pick me up. Let's go to the mall. Let's go," just do
Yes, yes,
things.
exactly. So that's with people like your supporters or who you thought were your supporters actually, not
Mhm.
working with you. But then it's like, okay, how can you support a stranger but not support a friend?
Girl, I'm glad you brought that up because basically, when you celebrate a stranger, that doesn't like require comparison compared to when you're celebrating a friend because that sometimes like I guess force people to confront their own insecurities when it's their friend compared to like a stranger. Like I see a lot of people will go on social media, love like strangers posts, comment under their posts, be their biggest
Yes.
fan. But if you post something like an accomplishment or something, a big milestone, crickets.
Yes.
No repost, but you
Yes.
will repost a
Oh
stranger
my
and
gosh.
their accomplishments.
10,000. Yes.
Like like, that doesn't make sense to me, like, if you're supposed to be my friend, like, you should be, like, praising me and you should be, like, uplifting me and be happy for me, not, like, just watch me. I know you watch me because I could see you watching my stories. Like, you can't avoid that.
Mhm.
So, if you're watching me and you see me have, like, some big accomplishments and you're my friend and you don't say nothing, even a simple message like "Congratulations," but then you're sitting there, I see you under another post saying "Congratulations" to a stranger. Like,
Make
come
it
on
make sense,
now.
right?
Yes, make it make sense. Like, it makes me feel like, are you insecure of me being, like, having accomplishments? Are you jealous? Like, that's what it makes it seem
Mhm.
like.
No, I feel like it's easier for people to cheer others on. Especially when you don't
Mhm.
know them. You don't know what they went
Yep.
through to get to where they are now.
Yep.
And like you were saying about, people on social media, like influencers are like the perfect example because it's like we see them at their best. They have millions of followers. They're going on these grand
Mhm.
vacations and they're, making money from the content that they post and everything. And so it's easy to like them because it's really it's on
Yep.
a massive scale. And so, it's easy for people to share, like, subscribe, and all that stuff because,
Mhm.
they already have motion at that point. And so, but when you have newbies to
Mhm.
the game, like take us for example, we're newbies, and we're
Yes.
pretty much building that stage of finding our core audience and all that stuff. And a lot of people just have not found us yet. Time will time will
Right.
allow that to happen and everything.
Yes.
It's not here
Yes.
right away, but success doesn't happen overnight. And so
No.
like I'm sure we have people watching us right now that are on the sidelines. They're not really active in the supporting for whatever reason.
Or or
but
engaging or
girl, you
anything.
mark my words, girl, right when we take off because we
Ooh.
believe in what we got going on here. So we know that we got something. So when we take off,
Yes.
we going to
Yes.
hear "Oh, I've always liked y'all," or "I've been there since day one," and everything. Yet they won't have a
Mm.
comment or a subscription to show for it, child. Like
Nope.
nothing.
Nope. At
And
all.
and
At
it is what
all.
it is, but it just shows how people can be. And it's like me personally, if I don't have to know you to like your stuff. If I
Right.
like what you're doing or what
Right.
you're putting out there, I will be compelled to like literally write something on there, and I'll write a nice note coming from the heart. That's it. I don't really expect people to comment
Right.
back, especially if they have hundreds of thousands of comments and everything. I'm like, I don't expect them to
Oh,
comment back.
yes.
When they
Yes.
do, I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. But, but
Yeah.
I can support someone whether I know you or I don't. But I know when good is good, it is what it is, and I will be
Mhm.
right there, whether it's at the beginning. But it's when the beginning is when I found you. That's my beginning. Like,
Exactly.
I'm
Yep,
not gonna
yep.
sit there and wait and be like, "Well, let me see if they become successful," and then be like, "Oh, okay, well, let me comment on something," so then other people could say, like, "No, I don't do that. If I like something, I like it, I'm gonna
No,
comment right
no,
then and there regardless, whether you have thousands of followers or 0."
regardless. Exactly. Be a supporter, a true
Yes, yes,
supporter.
and that's just being a good person in general.
Yes, like, it's not hard to be a
It
good
really
person.
isn't.
It really isn't.
Jinx.
I know you owe me a what's that?
Yeah,
You owe me a
yeah.
soda?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's that with talking about the toxicity and everything, but,
Yes.
there is a bright side of coming out of a toxic friendship, and that's dealing with reconciliation. Can you forgive
Yes, definitely.
someone and still remove them from your life, or do people confuse forgiveness with access?
So I absolutely, forgiveness is about releasing the burden. And so I've like I forgive, but I don't forget. So I can forgive you, but I won't forget what you done to me. And then in regards to reconciliation, that is about basically rebuilding the relationship. And so they're not the same thing, in my opinion, depending on how that relationship was. Like when we were talking about toxic relationship versus rough season, like if you were going through a rough season with that person, then I feel like you can be able to reconciliate with them. But in regards to like if you were going through that toxic relationship with that person, you can forgive them, but it's up to you if how you feel like if you want to try to rebuild that relationship or basically just move on. But in my opinion, I can forgive you, but I would move forward from that because as long as I got that weight off from forgiving what you've done to me, I'm
Mhm.
okay. But I don't need to reconciliate that relationship
Right.
with you because you already messed
Mhm.
that up. And basically in regards to like do people do confuse forgiveness with like the access? I feel like all the time just because like I mentioned before, I forgive you doesn't automatically give you like that front row access to my life again. Like once I seen what you who you are in your true
Mhm.
colors, I'm
Yeah.
done. Like I'm done, like, the old me, I would've gave you chances after chance after
Mhm.
chance, but now the newer version of
Mhm.
me,
We grown
I'm
now.
done. I can't do we grown, and I don't have time to be wasting
Yeah,
no
and
more.
then and also you're a mom too, so you want to be a good example
Yes.
and show your daughter what she should and shouldn't accept.
Oh, yes. Yes, and that's the good thing about being a mom now, because you look at life differently. So now, like, everything that I went through growing up, now I know how to prepare myself to try to have those talks with my daughters and basically try to prepare her the best way I
Mhm.
can so she won't go through what I went
Right.
through.
Yeah, and that's being a
Yeah.
good person, that's being a great parent. It is what it is.
Yes,
And
thank
like and I just, off of what you said, I agree with everything, and I do agree with the fact that you can forgive but just not forget.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
love the fact that you mentioned that forgiveness is unburdening the soul type thing, because it's
mhm.
forgiveness is for a lot of what a lot of people don't understand about forgiveness is it's not necessarily for the other person, it's for you. You're
Yeah.
forgiving so you can get that heavy weight lifted off of you and you're no longer carrying
Mm,
that weight anymore. And
mm,
I definitely, once I learned that part about forgiveness, that's what helped me to actually forgive people. And in regards
mhm,
to, like, having full access back to me after I forgive you, before I even
mhm.
try and go down that road again, I do the pros and cons. I'm like, do the good outweigh
Yeah.
the bad? Like, I may have had a lot of fun with this person, and we probably had a great friendship when we were good, but when we were bad, it was
Mhm,
like, it really took a toll my on my spirit and just mentally drained me, and
mhm.
it's like, I don't want to I don't want to have that again, and it'll just be on a grander
Mm.
scale as you get older because people are constantly changing, and there's certain things that people will and will not accept, and I just don't have time for that in my life when I have so many great things going for me, so many positive people around me, and it's just if you're like that one factor where it's like, when we're good, but when we're bad, it's bad. then it's like, it's not worth it. It's not
It's
worth it for
not.
me to repair this. Like, I can forgive, we can talk it out and everything, but as far as, like, having the access back into my life again at in the same capacity as it once was, that just can't happen because I have to protect my energy. I have to protect what I'm trying to build here, and if I have
Mhm.
toxic type of people around me, that's not really setting myself up for success at all.
The thing is, it's all about
Mhm.
peace. You gotta focus on your peace and your mental. And because again, like you mentioned earlier, like your mental can affect everything in regards to your body, your health, and it's not worth it
No,
at
it's not.
all.
And, with having forgiveness and, allowing what you allow and what you don't and everything, like, have you forgiven friendships that ended? Like, brought them back?
So I forgave friendships that have ended, and it's not because they deserved it. It's more because like I deserve the peace. So it made me feel at peace knowing that I forgave for them for what they have done
Mhm.
to me and for like them ruining our friendship. But I'm not gonna talk to him again.
Right.
Like we could, even if we're still, like, friends, like, on social media and stuff, like, you can see how I'm
Mhm.
doing, but in regards to us, like, hanging out and catching up and all that stuff,
Yeah, no, and
no.
I was just about to bring that up too. Like,
Yes.
I don't necessarily have to talk to you every single day. Like, I'm sorry, but a lot of my close friends, we don't talk every single day. But but
Oh, no. No, no.
but I'll keep people on social media. Like, if I don't find you toxic,
Mhm.
then I'll still keep you on social media. Like, I don't trip over that. But
Yes,
when I
yes.
delete you or you're blocked, then that's when it's like, oh,
That's it.
oh, it was toxic and it's to never
Yes.
come to return. Like, I don't even want you. When I like that's like when someone takes you off of social media, that's them completely deleting you.
Delete you
Yeah,
from their
and I feel like
life.
that's really it could be really harsh, and I feel like that's a little extreme. Like, I'll keep people on
Ye
social media as long as they're not toxic towards me. Like, I don't
Same,
care, like, because what
same.
I put out in the public is for the public to know. I let my close friends, the people
Right.
that I talk to majority of the time, I let them know, certain
Yep.
things, like, ahead of time before I post it on social media, if I even post it. But but
Oh,
once
yes,
it's
yes.
like the public, like, they're considered the public now. And so it's like if I'm cool with the public knowing and everything,
Mhm.
like, you're still cool. Like, I don't have any ill will towards anyone. Whether we talk or we
Same.
don't, if we haven't talked in years and someone reaches out to me, as long as they weren't like someone that was
Mhm,
really toxic to me, but if like we were cool at some point or whatever and we just fell off,
mhm.
whatever, because life happens. And like you reach
Yes.
out to me and we start and you like, hey, how you doing? Everything. I'm going to be just as like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, if I don't wanna talk
Yeah.
to you, I just won't talk to you. It may take me a little minute to get back to you sometimes because the girl needs her rest, you know? I work nights.
Exactly. Like,
I am
oh,
sleeping
yeah,
during the
yep,
day.
you rest. Yes, yes,
Like, healthcare is
yes.
is not for the weak, but that's a whole different subject for a different thing. But what I'm saying is, I have no ill will towards anyone, and I will talk to literally
Right.
anyone. Like, it's just I'm not always the one to reach out because I don't have that kind of time.
Me either. I'm the same way, like like, if somebody reaches out to me and there's no ill will towards us, I'll reply and
Yeah,
respond. Like, I would do that. I'm not that type of a, what do you call it? Like
you're not
a
spiteful. Yeah,
spiteful person.
no
Yes, thank
worries.
you. I'm not a very spiteful person. Like, I don't have a hardened heart
Right.
like that. Like, I'll still talk to you, but if you're deleted and blocked, then
Yeah, it's
that's a
probably
whole
not a
different
good
story.
thing to reach out. Like, if you're blocked or deleted, but you
No,
still have my number, it's probably best don't reach out because you'll
just
be
leave me
left on
alone.
red.
Yes, yes. Yes, just
Like, it's
no.
just it's pointless. Don't even go that far. Yeah.
Yes, just save you some
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. So moving forward, like, when it comes to healing, like, how would you
Mhm.
heal from a friendship heartbreak?
Oh, how I healed, I basically just stopped focusing on what I lost and I started appreciating like the people who constantly showed up for me. And so I also realized that every ending does teach you something. And so I think back and look at it like it's a reason for everything and it's a reason why that person is not on that journey with me anymore. And so that helps me to be able to move forward without like staying in the past, like why did this person do this to me, or why our friendship didn't work. And so that's what I think is the best thing to look at, is just like everything happens for a reason, and not everyone is meant to go like along with you in your
No,
journey.
that's a great way to put it, to be honest, because I feel the same way. Like, I feel it takes time and space. Like, you literally have
Yes.
to detach yourself from that person, reevaluate your own
Mhm.
life, and I know that because that's what I did for myself. And, I took
Mhm.
time to figure out who and what I wanted, like what type of people I wanted around me. And if the bad
Mhm.
outweighed the good, then I had to move on no matter how much it hurt at that time. Because eventually things got better and I
Yeah.
began to see more for me and I was able to do what I set out to do without being held back.
See, and that's the thing. Like, it's just with friendships, like you have to have boundaries. You have to like you got to pay attention to their actions, more than their words. You can't ignore any of the red flags. You definitely got to pay attention
Mhm.
to that. And you just can't overstand yourself trying to save the relationship, especially when only one person wants to maintain
Yeah.
it. Like, as long as you keep those things in mind, then that will help you to be able to move forward with what you need to do in regards to reevaluating your
Mhm.
friendships. And so, like, as we get to like basically reflecting on everything, I just feel like as we've gotten older, like we realize that not every friendship is meant to be
Right.
lifelong. And again, like I mentioned, some people are here for a
Mhm.
season, some people are here for a
Mhm.
lesson, and a few are here for the journey. So the challenge is just basically knowing the difference between those. And as long as you know the difference, you will be okay.
That part. I really have nothing else to add to that. That was beautifully said, my child.
Thank you. I try. I try.
Girl, you don't just try, you do. So yeah, so this was I must say this was a great episode. And I know I mentioned it briefly before of this being our 10th episode, but I really want us to take a moment of reflection because this has not
Yes.
been an easy journey. Like we make it probably look easy, but
Ooh,
when I tell
Lord.
you sometimes Dell would be busy over here trying to really come at us but we have grown so much. That's why
Yes.
I mentioned to for anyone who is new to our platform like to really watch our first video up until now and everything like
Mhm.
just binge watch. It's 10 episodes. It ain't going to take you that long. And so,
Oh, wait, no.
and so
No.
but it's like it's just I'm so proud of how far we've come and how we're
Mhm.
really advancing and we're just moving in the right direction because like it it's been a long time, We mentioned in our first episode, I believe, that it was a long time coming. Like we
Yes.
had a whole year and a half.
A whole year and a
Yeah.
half
Yeah,
talking about it and
exactly,
planning it.
and, like, obviously things don't always
Yes.
go according to plan, like, we were literally supposed
No.
to, like, have maybe, like, 6 months of planning and then go straight into it. We changed from being
Mhm.
live to being recorded, like, we
It was it was a
it was
lot
a
of
lot,
planning.
and mind you, we don't have professional editors at all, like, we do that ourselves.
Nope.
So,
Yes.
it is a lot for us to deal with, but we do this because we love it, and it's just
Yes.
like and I just can't get over of how happy I am of this because this is joy. This is, like, my work-life balance for me. This is the balance part. I enjoy our talks just like how I enjoyed our talks when we were younger and we were like always going over each other's
Yes.
houses and everything. Like I've always enjoyed the beauty of our friendship, and I'm just thankful that we're able to share that with other people.
Yes, and I agree. Like, I'm glad we were able to create this platform because we want to show like how it is to have like a friendship like this where we're able to sit down and talk and just discuss. So like with others who do have friendships like ours, like they can relate and engage also with us. And so like with this milestone of us getting to 10 episodes, it is a huge deal for us because again, like she mentioned, it's been a long road, but we finally are here to where we're at today. And like doing these episodes is like therapeutic for me as well. Like it gets me away from what I'm dealing with. So I am thankful like that I'm able to do this with my best friend and my sister.
Yes.
And so, like, we do appreciate those who do are or already subscribed to us and listening and watching our videos. Like, without y'all too, like, we want to be able to be where we are with the views, like where we are
Yeah.
now. And so, we appreciate you guys just listening to everything that we're talking about. And I know we do talk a lot, but I'm glad you guys are listening to us chit
Yeah. I
chatting.
mean,
'Cause again, it's like y'all are our besties as
yeah.
well
Yeah, for
because
sure.
you guys are here
Yeah, no,
with
we
us.
appreciate everybody. Like whether we have whatever we're grateful for whatever views we get. Whatever views, whatever engagement,
Yes,
like we're not
yes.
expecting an overnight success because we believe so
No.
wholeheartedly in what we have and what we
Mm,
have to offer that we know that something great is going to come of this. So whether we
yes.
positively impact one person's life or many, then we've really done what we've set out to do. And we just really want to just share what we have. And
Mm,
because I feel like friendships like ours are those that should be promoted most and not necessarily
yes.
of the toxic and the juicy tea worthy type stuff. Like, that
No.
stuff is exciting. It's popcorn worthy. That's nice. But every now and then you want something that's wholesome. And I feel like that's what we have here, and I'm very appreciative.
Most
I'm
definitely.
very appreciative of that, and, and I have different bonds with my friends, and every bond
Mhm,
is
same.
unique on it in its own way, and so I'm grateful that we were
Mhm.
able to come together and really just create this, and
Yes.
I cannot wait till we are on, I don't know what number episode, but we are so far in the
Woo!
future to where we have like a different platform where we're able to be in person. We're able to do more and
Right.
bring more to the table. And I just look forward to what
Yes.
the future has in store for us.
Same here, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So that leads us to, if you're watching this on YouTube, we want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had to walk away from a friendship you thought would last
Oof.
forever? And what was the lesson that it taught you? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Sister Talks.
Ding. And for our sisters and besties who are listening, thank you for letting us be a part of your routine today. And make sure you follow our show and leave us a review, especially if this topic did resonate with you.
Hey.
So, okay, sis, another episode to wrap
Yes, yes,
up.
yes.
And I enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. And I will be talking to you
Yes,
later,
yes,
sis.
yes. I appreciate everything. Love you.
You too.